not like I had to beat the longest reigning world champion in my division. You know, I just had to fucking flash my titties. Like,
big time, no diamonds in my teeth.
New South Wales, Australia, Ebanie Bridges.
This is Ebanie Bridges, world champion, boxing champion, the blonde bomber. I was going to put you on the spot, actually. Let's have you give Ebanie like a Bruce Buffer, Michael Buffer type intro.
Wow.
What do you got? I didn't want to tell you
pressure's
before.
on.
Wow. A Bruce. Well, first of all, I wouldn't yell that loud. That guy's aggressive.
Hype her
Oh,
up, though.
yeah.
Say
Bruce is very
say,
animated.
say your last name again.
Bridges.
Bridges.
Like a bridge.
Okay. Ebanie
But with an
Bridges,
S.
the blonde bomber. Okay. And coming to the podcast is Ebanie, the blonde bomber Bridges.
That was really underwhelming. I thought you were going to say like,
It was all right, but you know what?
You
Chris,
didn't give-
what got me is like, what got me, Chris, is when you're like, wait, what's your last name again?
Fuck, I
Like,
fucked it
bro,
up. Are we fighting already?
You know, I am
Is
the
this our
IBF
first
Bantamweight
fight?
world champion.
yeah, world
You know, I said my
champion.
last-
I just wanted to say it right. I just wanted to make sure Chris didn't screw it up.
No, but to be fair, Chris, I'm gonna, a lot of people ask me how do I say my first name, because Ebony. People seem to look at my name and not be able to pronounce it right. I get Ebane, Ebony, Elaine. Like people just look at my first name and really struggle.
Oh, I could totally picture that. People butcher everything. I mean, my last name gets butchered all the time. It's pretty phonetical. So,
Kimoji.
Yeah.
So Ebanie, we'll just break the ice right here because I'm horrible at starting these podcasts. I never know how to
Okay.
start the conversation, but
Sweet.
I put an Instagram story out yesterday. You reposted it. Thank you. About you coming on and the questions. And now I'm just
imagine the question.
Oh, yeah.
Look at him getting all red.
I already know.
I wasn't going to read them. I wasn't going to read them out. I was just going to say, yeah, it was very interesting. I'm like, why do you follow me, you fucking creep? Like,
Yeah.
by the way, you can cuss on here. You can say whatever you want.
Yes.
Yeah, the responses were
Creepy. They're fucking
Colorful.
weird. Yeah, they're
Colourful.
fucking
Are
weird.
they colourful?
Yeah, they're
I know,
fucking weird.
You should imagine what it's like when I put a Q&A up. Holy shit. I got sucked into a whole heap of marry, fuck, kill the other day, and that was like really hard.
Marry,
I was
fuck,
like,
kill. Please
far out,
explain.
man.
What does that mean?
You don't know what marry, fuck, kill is?
No.
Give him a good one.
You don't?
Wow,
No.
okay.
So, okay, I fucked up the last name. I fucked up the intro. And now I don't know Marry, fuck, kill.
You
I
don't
should
need the
fucking-
fun and games that we're playing.
I'm a
Like in
fucking
the game,
asshole.
Who, you say 3 names and you got to pick marry, fuck, or kill. And I had Bob Arum, for example, Bob Arum, Michael Buffer, and who else? I don't know, Donald Trump. And I have to say who I would fuck, marry, or kill.
So which one? Which one was it?
No, I didn't get that question. I mean, but that's it can be extreme like that. I kind of picked those ones with obviously Conor McGregor and Ennis and AJ, Eddie Hearn, all these ones. And I mean, it just, I mean, people get really creative, and I was just I can't do this, guys. It's not so I did a few, but yeah, I had to shut it down.
That's what was going to lead into how I was planning on opening the show.
Which is what?
I wasn't going to read those questions.
Who you would
because-
marry, fuck, kill? That was the opener.
Chris 1, Chris 2, and then Maddie, the producer.
No, it just makes me realize you as a professional athlete, woman, any influencers, all of them, the amount of messages and stuff that they get. So I was just going to break the ice by being what are some of the creepier requests, messages, anything? Blast these people, because I read them and I was offended. I'm
You get
what the fuck?
you get
I
creepy
wish-
shit too.
I get some creepy shit.
I wish I could get my phone. Obviously, I'm using my phone to talk, but I could go through it. I mean, I don't know. Some of them are I'm trying to think. There was one actually. I wish I could get into it because there was one this morning where I was like, "Wow, okay." Something. Oh, I don't know. I wish I could put my nose in your fart box, or I would like you to Can I be your personal foot bitch? And I can stand on my 4 legs, and you and your friends all put your feet on me while you watch TV and laugh and tease me. Can you shit on my chest and watch my friend eat it?
Whoa,
if that's
God.
what you're into.
That's aggressive.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
I mean, Yeah, like honestly, like if that, if you're into that, like if you want to watch,
I like how that's the question. Like, if you're into that, I am too. If you, who also has a friend that would eat the shit? That's aggressive.
I don't know. Honestly, like some of it's really great, but that's like some obviously big one. I always constantly get asked, "Oh, will you marry me?" Or like they all want to like my feet. I had one the other day, and I think I actually posted it to my story. It was like, "Can you please take a selfie of yourself right now with your armpit?" Like, because there's like armpit fetishes as well.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like armpit foot fetish, like sock fetish. I sell my socks. Like I sell my dirty socks for like 500 pounds. Like people are just like.
And how many would you say you sell in a good month?
I've probably sold like maybe 20 pairs of socks.
Wow. Man, are you in a relationship?
No.
You can say
no.
I was very hesitant.
Yeah.
No, I'm seeing someone. I would say.
I was just thinking,
but it's not serious.
You don't have to put it on the spot like that.
Hey, you guys made me do a fucking intro.
Depends if she's sliding in my DMs. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
No, I was.
No, I mean, it depends. Like, fans like, get on my OnlyFans. I'm single.
So Ebony, we had a talk. We had a pre-production meeting, and where all this is coming from is like, number one, we kind of wanted to see, your brand is very. Obviously world champion, and then you've talked in the interviews about being theatrical and doing amazing things. So we were excited to have this conversation because we wanted to know, where the boundary is here. So we're kind of testing that boundary now.
Yeah. Okay. The boundaries. I mean, there's obviously, I without giving away too much, I mean, I am respectful. Like there's things like, for example, I would never sell my knickers. I get asked all the time for my dirty knickers and things like that, and I would never sell that. Keep it in the socks and the feet.
That's a solid choice.
Yeah, just because there's more banter, to be fair. Like, I think that's funny. And I also do a lot of findom, which is like, obviously, like, I don't know if you know what findom is, but pretty much people just give you money to abuse them. Like,
yeah.
You're saying you won't do that? People ask me.
No, I will do that.
Oh,
yeah. And yeah, I mean, I talk to, like, obviously on OnlyFans, OnlyFans, you'd have to go sub to see what's on there. But, I really get personal with my subs on OnlyFans because I don't like to do it on my social media. So, like, Instagram and Twitter, there has to be a bit of a difference between Instagram and Twitter. And, like, Instagram and Twitter, like, I don't really talk to people personally, but, OnlyFans, that's where they get the more one-on-one engagement and feel like more of a personal relationship. It's because I want to separate it, especially because they're subbing and they're paying for my for me. So yeah, I mean, that's a plug. Go check it out. Ebanie Bridges OnlyFans. If you want to chat, sub and send me a message.
Is it really you though?
And Chris Kamosi. All right, I got my OnlyFans page.
It's
right?
really you chatting.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what else am I doing besides training?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, lose the shorts, bro.
I know. I get some weird messages on there too. It's because they've sponsored me for a while, and I have a page and everything. But yeah, that's what I started that first question because I was like, man, that came like from my page, like people following me with all these weird questions, and I'm like, it does.
But you know what?
Huh?
Yeah, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go continue.
Hey, this is your
ADHD
show. No, I was just going to say
today's about you, Mama.
I was kind of curious on a different side of this because you are like an amazing fighter. You are like hard-nosed fighter. I've seen a ton of your fights even before I met you in London. And you were, you're this pretty woman, but you like throw down. You're not just like, this isn't an insult. I would say you're not like a finesse fighter. Like I'm not a finesse fighter either. I'm go forward.
I'm a Mexican boxer.
Yeah.
You can tell by your accent.
So does it ever bother you that like you get that kind of stuff when you are like, you're a well-accomplished athlete. So I never want to like weigh that down and just like,
I don't care. I don't care what anyone thinks. If you care about what people think and how people are judging you and trying to get respect off people, you'll never be happy in your life. I don't care what anyone thinks. I know I'm a world champion. I put my work in the gym and I know what I'm capable of and I know the kind of athlete I am. And I don't care if people want to look at my tits or whatever the hell they want to look at. As long as they know my name and they're talking about me, then I don't care because that's all money to me and that's success. It's a brand that I built. I have the biggest following online for all female boxers in the world. Female boxers.
You know
what I mean? I'm not talking about those, what do you call it? influencer boxers, but actual boxers, real, like, not that you guys are, you know, they're not boxers, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Pro boxers, I have the biggest following on every single platform in the whole world out of every single boxer, and that's because I'm in the paper every single day for whatever it may be, whether it's my boobs or it's a photo of Conor McGregor or if it's some scandal over there. It doesn't really matter because people are talking about me. And as you know, you're with Whitney, Chris. The more following you have, the more money you make, you know. So it's just, for me, the more I'm known, whatever they're talking about, the more following, it's all money. It's business to me, you know. And in the end, I go in there and I box because I love to box. I love bashing up bitches and I love fighting. And obviously I like to make money from it. And it's just, you know, I don't have anything to prove to anyone else except myself when I go in that ring. And I do that when I'm training and when I hold that belt up and I get my hand raised. And if people want to look at my outside and want to judge me on my social media, which is, it's fucking social media, it's work. You know, if you actually met me in person, Chris, you have met me in person, you know, it's like, it's a bit different. Like, we all portray a certain thing on social media. Like, it's still me, but it's like, you know, I'm not, everyone that would meet me would always be like, wow, like, you're not like, I mean, obviously I'm a bit of a sex symbol, but when it's personal, you know what I mean? It's very different for me.
Yeah.
I'm quite reserved, or I'm very like, I'm very, I don't know what the word is. I don't know, say respectable, if that makes sense. But I do have a brand, and I am about making people talk. And that is why I am one of the most well-known female boxers, not just in the boxing world, but in all the world's media mainstream. And I think that's really important when you want to make money post-career. You know, I'm 37, and after I finish boxing, if I'm not known in mainstream, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? What, I have to go back to fucking teaching? Like, fuck that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to make money off my brand and who I am, and the Ebanie Bridges, the blonde bomber. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just business, isn't it, for me? But it's still, I don't fake it. It's still me. It's just it's a part of it. It's like a
highlight.
What do they call it? Like a persona. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you've got different. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's me, but it's like a bit of a character of me.
Yeah, like my life on social media always looks like I'm doing cool stuff, and that's because it's just a highlight. Like, you guys don't see the waking up early, eating stuff I don't want to sometimes, sitting at home every night during camp and watching movies. Like, it's not that exciting or like crazy, but I post my vacations and this and that. But
I mean,
it's exaggerated.
I don't post. I'm not really a blogger. Like, I don't post on OnlyFans. I do more, obviously, because it's a bit more personal. But if you watch my social media, it's never. I'm not really very often like, oh, this is what I'm doing today, or hey, I'm doing this, or I'm going for a run, or check in, done a workout. I never do like my work. I don't do first workout. Tick, second workout. I don't need to do that. I don't need proof to anyone that I'm training, because when I get in those ropes and I beat on bitches and fucking fuck them up, that's shown that I've just done my workout. You know. But when I go into the gym, I put my phone away. I don't want to be thinking about my phone and taking photos when I'm in the gym. I want to be thinking about working, you know. And any stuff I put on social media is like just to share shit or PR. Like, you know, it's all business for me.
It's time to flip the world of soda on its head. The new evolution is here, and it's called Fit Soda. Enjoy flavors like sparkling citrus, black cherry cola, orange cream, and root beer vanilla float. There's no guilt needed because Fit Soda is triple filtered, packed with aminos and electrolytes for hydration. Think it can't get any better? Every Fit Soda is sugar-free and absolutely 0 calories. What are you waiting for? Pick up a Fit Soda.
Like, I don't need to fucking prove anyone that I'm working, because I do that when I get in a ring. And I just have this thing where long time ago, I stopped trying to explain myself or prove myself to anyone, because I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. I'm doing my life for me.
Hey, Ebanie, what is your kind of like, you know, tough, fuck it attitude wanting to get into boxing? Obviously, you know, compared to most women, you took a different road, and it's dope. Where did that origin story happen? Like, for me, I was telling Chris before our talk, and I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, how I got bullied a ton when I was a kid, you know, which resulted in this 6'2", 295-pound frame, because I was always trying to protect myself, you know, football, rugby, training when I was young, but it came from getting my ass kicked constantly from my brothers, then stuffed in trash cans in high school. And it came from that place. Where did your kind of origin story start, where you wanted to learn how to protect yourself and be tough and just kind of say, fuck it?
So I did karate, Kempo karate when I was 5. I got my black belt in that. I did that for 8 years. And then in my teens, when I was like 13, I was like, I want to do something a bit more aggressive. So I went to kickboxing and Muay Thai training, but it was illegal in Australia for women to fight. So
like, flat out illegal. You couldn't even train. Like, you couldn't. No,
you could train. No, we couldn't fight. It was just not until 2008. And I think there was like fights where it was legal and then it went illegal for a while and then whatever. But I just know that it became back illegal at 2008.
Do you remember at 13 what the thought process was? Like why did you want to ratchet it up?
Yeah, I had very traumatic teens. I went through a lot in my teens. But like I said, I kind of started martial arts when I was 5. So I'd grown up like with, like the Karate Kid and Bruce Lee and like Steven Seagal and Van Damme. I loved all of them. I used to watch like, the Three Ninjas, like all those movies. I just loved combat sports. Like I grew up with it. I was into it when I started karate when I was 5. Like I really got into it. I just loved it. That's why I was obviously so dedicated to it when I got my black belt. And then it was just like, okay, I want to go a bit more aggressive now. I'm a bit older. And I just had a pretty intense. My teens was really, really fucked up, to be fair. And I just always got into fights in the street. And and then, like I said, we couldn't fight, but I was still training. I just used my elbows and knees and headlocks and shit and fish hooks in the street instead.
Fish hooks. Ebony, I know this is really...
I fish hooked this girl once and like ripped her whole mouth open.
That's so gangster. Do you mind? I know this is sensitive and you can tell me to fuck off. What in your teens was happening that was dramatic?
Yeah, I'm not really going to talk about that because that's a story for when I retire. But like it was pretty. It was it's made me who I am now. But it was pretty full on, and it's something that I choose not to focus on now because I'm doing so well. I'm so positive, and I don't want to bring the negatives and the demons from my past into the present. But I would happily do it when I retire to help other people. But right now, my focus is on what I've done and what I've done since then. I was reborn when I was 19, and I was lucky to get a second chance at life. And all I've done since is try and be the best I can be and learn as much as I can and not waste a minute of my life because I wasted so much time with like a lot of self-hate and stuff like that. So,
and what would you tell? What would you tell girls? Sorry, I just have to ask. What would you tell girls who may be struggling with something like that now? Because you said something dope. You can be reborn and be a new person starting today, right? Like,
yeah, it's never too. Like, I mean, no matter how dirty your past is, your future's always clean. You know what I mean? And
I like
you
that.
can change at any point in your life. It's very hard. It takes a lot of courage to let go of your past and let go of one life to be reborn into another life. Because when you're transforming, you really need to let go of everything and you need to leave it there. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's really important to believe that you can, believe that it's possible. Believe that it's possible to change, believe that it's possible to recover, believe that it's possible to be someone that you're not, no matter what age you are. Not even if you're a little girl, in your 20s, even if you're 50 or 40 or, it's never too late to change your fucking path. It's never, ever too late to take a different direction. You can be fucking 80. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, I work obviously a lot with addictions and stuff like that. And people, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Where would you change.
You seem so educated on the topic in terms of experience and all that. Where would you send someone, or is there a book you would give someone, or would you tell people feeling that way to go to the gym? And what I'm getting at is to teach them belief, because most people.
Yeah, I think that the book The Secret and The Magic are mega. It's all about gratitude. I think one thing that you learn on my journey and that I've learned along my journey is gratitude, and positive thinking is really important. To show gratitude to just the small things, to try and get yourself out of negative thinking, and also self-affirmations, positive affirmations, and just changing your thought process from negative to positive. We attract what we put out. If you talk negative, you're going to attract negative. If you talk, if you give out love, you're going to get love. If you give out hate, you're going to get hate. It's really important. And I think those books, especially like, The Magic, which is mainly about gratitude, but also The Secret, you learn a lot of things about manifestation. I believe I've manifested everything in my life.
Ebony, what was the second book? Sorry, what was the second book? The
Secret.
No, you said
Magic, which is also part of the Secret series.
Got it.
By Rhonda Burns. But there's heaps of other ones, but it's the same thing. And I think that this life changing, when you look at life like that, when you look at life with a grateful heart, and in the self belief that anything that you say, anything that you put out there, it's possible. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm so successful. I've never failed anything since I turned 19. And I changed my way of thought. I've never failed anything. I've never not done something that I said I wasn't going to. That's why I knew that I was going to be a world champion. That's why I know I'm going to be undisputed, because I put it out in the universe and I've said I'm going to do it. And I never not do something that I've said I'm going to do. And the things that I say are going to happen always happen. It might take longer than what I might have projected, but they always end up happening. And it's also because I don't quit. You know, no matter how hard it gets. I have a double degree and a master's in mathematics, you know, and I did that in my 20s after not even barely passing school, you know, and it's because I said that's what I'm going to do, you know, and I spent 8 years in university. And I've done so many things that I think I would never be able to thought I could never do. But now I just know that if I say I'm going to do it, it's going to fucking happen. And if I say it and I put it out, then I tell you right now I'm going to be undisputed, then I know I will be. Like, I just know, because everything I say that I'm going to be, I'm going to do, I do it. I've never failed anything. You know?
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that, because I'm big on like positive affirmations too. Maybe not like out loud, but even before fights, like my whole walkout, everything, like I repeat the same things in my head.
Yeah.
And I did my research on you before this. And for those of you that don't know listening, that, you were a math teacher in high school, right? And one thing I saw was that you mentioned that you even had a different teaching style, because you're like, not everything's learned in a book or on the curriculum. And you said that you used to have your kids, even if they, I can't remember, correct me, something happened, but you'd make them write positive affirmations during recess and things like different teaching methods that I think are important, because nowadays they don't teach you to be free thinkers. It's just read the book. No. That's what it is. And that was kind of cool when I read that. I was like, that's awesome that you were kind of like outside the box for those kids.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, the reason I became a teacher originally was because I wanted to be able to help children and help kids that were like me when I was in school. And I wanted to be someone that could spot that and spot these problem children and these girls that were struggling, or guys or girls, whatever, it doesn't really matter, you know, like anyone that was struggling. And I wanted to be that teacher that kids could come to, or that I could educate them and change their mindset, because it's all about mindset. Your mind is the most powerful tool, the most powerful muscle in your fucking whole body, you know what I mean? And it controls your life. So if we can teach kids from a young age, from like, I was a high school teacher, so you're talking like 12, 13, on self-belief and positive affirmation, and to not give up, and to know that the more work you put in, the more you get out, you know. And if you believe, then you can achieve, you know. And I had I always say this in my classroom, I had rules, the normal standard rules, but one of my rules was banned words, and it wasn't swearing. To be honest, I didn't give a fuck if my kids swore. Like, they can say fuck, they can say shit, I didn't care, you know what I mean? But they weren't allowed to say, I can't, it's too hard, and I'm dumb. And if the kids said those 3 words, and they would see me at lunch, and they'd have to write affirmations, I'm smart, I can do it, it's possible, I believe in myself. And they thought it was so fucking lame. They're like, this is so lame, miss. Oh, don't do this. I'm like, it's lame writing so much positive stuff about yourself. But they would actually, if they did it, then they would avoid talking negative about themselves in my classroom, because they didn't want to come and write positive shit about themselves. But what it did was it retrained them to, if they thought negative, like I can't do it, or no, I can't do it, miss, or no, I'm too dumb, then it would stop them from thinking it, because they didn't want to come and do that. But it was like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the kids next to them, say for example, they go, oh, this is too hard, or like they'd be like, I can't do this. Then they'd be like, oh, miss, like Robert said that it's too hard, he can't do it. And I go, mate, I'll see you at lunchtime then, we're going to write lines, you know. And then he'd be like, oh, you know, whatever. But they would dob on each other because they actually did want to get their friends in trouble, but make them do the lame
one kid figured out the system. I'm gonna be here every lunch.
But it would work. But I would also bribe them, like if they did really well with my boxing and stuff, and I show them like videos of me like knocking bitches out and sparring, and like, you know, my boxing and stuff, and they really loved that. But no, it was great. I really do miss teaching, and like I said, it was something that I originally started because I wanted to give back, and I wanted to, you know, my recovery and stuff, I wanted to give back to make sure that I could retrain these kids' minds so that they didn't go where I was. If I saw that they were, I could try and stop it or change their mindset, you know, which I did.
So Ebony, I have a question. So one of the things we deal with in our company is it's always really tough, and there's lots of really tough moments, just like, you know, a fighter would go through. And I was talking to a partner of ours the other day, one of our co-founders, and we were talking about building systems around your mind, just like a muscle, that when you feel overwhelmed, you feel like the chips are down.
It's an easy hold to like.
No, you can spiral. As Chris sees me do it, I get mad. Yeah. I get mad a lot, and then that anger turns into like me being. And plus, I'm a cynical asshole, so I crack jokes and shit.
It's like what I said before. You know, negative attracts negative, hate attracts hate. So if you're in a negative mindset, you know, like, and you're thinking negative, it's going to keep spiraling. It's going to turn into a big fucking, like, you know, like, get bigger and bigger. But it's like when you start thinking negative, what I do, and I've done it even like, you know, about people or about things, and as soon as I start feeling really negative, like you know, you have to understand you're human and it's going to happen. But when I feel like it's overwhelming me, I'm like, holy shit, now I'm going to write down all the things that I'm grateful for, all the positive things in my day, all the actual positive things from this person or from that event or what could happen, anything positive and that I'm grateful for. And it automatically changes my mindset from negative to positive, and then I'll read that. Do you know what I mean? And it really fucking helps. But I'm not going to say I'm not fucking human. I definitely have times where I'm like feeling really down or I'm really depressed or I'm really upset, but I don't let myself sit there and spiral. If I start spiraling, then I will start writing.
Wow, that is a great
writing. Just gratitude, man.
That's a great tool.
I'm a spiraler.
So am I. We all do it. You know what's interesting too is I think sometimes people hear what you're saying, because I used to be such a churchgoer back in the days, and I think people take positive affirmation for also being weak in a sense. Like you can still sit there and write what you're grateful for about somebody, but still compete with them and want to smash them, right? Like I think sometimes people
100%.
took the gratitude Bible and they made it make them weak. Like I know a bunch of Christians who took that message and it made them sort of non-competitive. Go ahead, Mama.
There's always something you can be grateful for in anyone. Do you know what I mean? Even like someone that's a fucking horrible cunt, you can be so grateful to them for the lesson that they taught you or for those hard times. I'm so grateful for all the hell that I've been through and all the bad things that have happened to me, because holy fuck, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be who I am now. Holy no shit. I'd probably just be like a normal person. Like who knows? You know what I mean? But it's made me fucking so strong. You know what I mean? Everything that's bad, like everything, you can be grateful for. I know it's a bit of a kick into teeth for people that can't see like that. They're thinking, you know, if something really, really bad's happened to them, like, how can you say that? It's a horrible feeling. I'm like, trust me, I've had some horrible things happen to me, very, very horrible things happen to me. But it's like, I wouldn't change it, because I love who I am now. And it's taken me, I'm 37, you know, it's taken me a long time to heal and recover and become this kind of person that I am now, you know, but now I can spread this message on such a big platform to other people. You know, when I'm done boxing, I know that it's something that I will venture into, you know. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying before, Chris, about your fights and stuff, like for me, you know, every time my fight process, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of my mindset in a fight
Yeah,
camp.
I would love to hear it, actually.
Yeah, so, you know, firstly, is like when you first get announced that fight, you're like, you get the fight, you're fighting this person, you get the contract, you're like, holy shit, okay. It's like, all right, I'm actually fucking fighting, like on this day, and that person, you know, and it's like, instantly for me, it's like you get like anxiety where I'm like, okay, hold on, like, oh my God, I'm actually fucking fighting this person. Then I look at them, I'm like, oh my God, they can do this, they can do, what happens if I lose? Da, 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 da. So I go through this negative mindset originally, right at first, pretty much as soon as the fight's sealed. I'll go through all this negative stuff, like looking at them and analyzing them and seeing how good they are or what they can do more than me or whatever. But usually it's a process that I go through. So that could take, depending on the opponent, that could take anywhere from a fucking couple of hours, or it could maybe be a week where I'm like focusing on like, holy shit, I'm not good enough, or holy shit, they might be better than me. What happens if they beat me? Da 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 da. But once I start counteracting that with all the things that I'm good at and start thinking about all the positives of my own stuff and maybe looking at my old fights or anything like that, I wean it all out and I get it out at the beginning of my camp, you know.
So Ebanie, are you saying you give yourself room to go through that thought process?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
You're not trying to constantly fight it. You're literally, you know, it's happening. You recognize what it is. Oh, that's dope. So it's almost like grieving. Like if somebody passes or you have a breakup, you let yourself grieve and go, all right, I'm fucking sad.
Like, I let myself have the self-doubt. But I make sure that it doesn't engulf me and it doesn't drown me. It's okay to feel it and think it, but you can't let it consume you, because that's when there's a problem. So what happens is usually at the beginning of my camp, that's when I go through that process. So then that's out of the way, like fucking 10 weeks ago. So then I've got like, you know, anywhere from like 8 to 10 weeks of just focusing on how fucking amazing I am, how much I'm going to win, how much better I am, and my hand being raised. And then I literally don't focus. And once I've filtered all through that, you know, self-doubt and like, oh my God, what happens if this happens? Oh my God, what happens if this happens? And da 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 da. Once I've filtered through all that, it's literally all it is I'm going to win. I'm going to do this. My hand's going to be raised. What's going to happen after that? Do you know what I mean? Like, I won't even look and go, oh, what happens if she wins? Or what happens if I lose? I would never, ever, ever, ever do that once I've filtered through that little process that I've done. So like in those, say there's like 8 weeks. I won't even think that at all. Like, and I feel like that's a problem with a lot of people. Like my last opponent, she would have been so anxious and so scared to lose against me because of this bullshit fucking persona she's built up about herself. You know, if she loses against me, Miss Skanky Stripper, then it would be really bad. And I know that she would have been focusing on that. So then that would be such a focus on the negatives and losing. And even though it's like, I don't want to lose, or I can't lose, or what happens if I don't want her to beat me. Like, it's still negative. It's still focusing on losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I've already done that like weeks ago, and I've already realized that I'm not going to fucking lose against this cunt. Like, no way this bitch is beating me.
Love it.
Do you know what I mean? So like, I've got all this positive stuff, and like, don't get me wrong, I have bad spars sometimes, and I'm like, fucking hell, like this is shit, you know. But it's never like, oh, now that's it, I'm not going to win. It's just like, okay, I got to make sure I come in better for the next thing because I got to win this fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's never, I never focus on my opponent, like as in that kind of way. Like I'll focus on them, see what they're doing, so I learn about them and study them, but not in a sense that I don't ever think like those kind of thoughts. Oh, I don't want them to beat me, or I don't want to lose, or what happens if they beat me, or what happens, you know, never ever. I fucking, that gets done like way at the beginning of my camp when that fight's been signed. So by the time I get to fight camp, fight week, I'm so fucking positive they're going to win, and that's what I'm putting out there. That's what I totally believe. And so when I get in there, I'm so fucking confident. When I look at them, I'm like, you're fucking dead cunt. Like, seriously, like, I'm like looking at them and I just know that I'm going to beat. And there's nothing that they can do because I know I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes to beat them because losing has not been an option for me. It's not something that I've manifested or something that I've envisioned. So it's impossible. And I build that throughout the camp.
I do that.
So I think that's really important.
I do like a similar process too. Like when I get an opponent, first thing I do is I watch a highlight reel because your highlight reel is your best, right? And then I sit there and I think about like a lot of the negatives. I'm like, oh man, like, you know, like I give myself the same time, like I give myself that process. And then as soon as it's gone, I like what you said because I don't focus on my opponent ever. I don't give a shit. No. I want them to worry about me. And I've learned this in the past and I can't really fuck with coaches anymore that I've had coaches in the past that you get a fight and they'll be like, let's work this, and this, everything that they're good at, because they think they're coaching you to like counter it. But really all it does is make me focus on like, well, they're so good at this. Why don't we focus on what I'm good at and make them worry about that? I like that you said that because I don't think that that's super common actually. And it took me years and years and years to like figure that out.
You got to focus on you and what you're going to do to them. This is what I'm going to do to them. Not like, what happens if they do this? Oh shit, you know what I mean? Like you got to think, okay, yeah, that's something they're good at, but then what are you going to do? So it's like, okay, well, this is what I got to do. Like, you know, I got to, you know, make sure that I'm bringing my left hand back when I punch, you know, and then I'm going to do this and whatever, but it's still focusing on you, not thinking about them. You know, but it is a process. And people that say that, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they do say, oh, I never think about losing and and that's true, but there has to be one point where they go through it. There has to be, you know, and that's why I'm saying, even me with how positive I am, and by the time I get to the fight, I know I'm not losing that fucking fight. It's because of the process that I've gone through. And I don't get nerves or anxiety before a fight. You know, people like when they're walking out or out the back, I don't get nervous. I don't get anxious. I get really excited because I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go fuck this bitch up. You
that's
know what
how
I mean?
I am.
But it's not like, I know a lot of people say, how can you not get nervous? But it's like, I've just changed my, I don't look at it as nerves. I look at it as excitement. It might be nerves, but I tell in my head it's excitement, because if you start thinking about nerves and then that gets you anxious, and that's when you don't perform. But I feel like the real anxiety is at the beginning when I'm first saying that fight. You know, when I've, you know, thinking, holy shit, you know, I can't be thinking, holy shit, what happens if this happens like just before my fucking fight? Can't be doing that. You know,
I love that.
So I make sure it's all filtered out.
I love that because I'm the exact same way. And people are like, you're full of shit. Like, you don't get nervous. Like, Chris cornered me the last fight. I don't really get nervous beforehand. I mean, I'll get quiet because I'm like thinking about things, but I don't really think about getting hurt or any of that because I'm more excited to do it. And I hate the build up, actually. I hate the walk. I don't hate the walk. The walk is fun, but I wish that, like, as soon as you got in there, they're like, go. Like, I hate the announcements, everything. Once I'm there, like, I'm in the zone where I'm like, I'm going to fuck you up. Like, just ring the bell. Hand me the water, ring the bell.
You just want to throw that first. You just want to throw that first punch.
I think that's really cool though, and I think that those are like good life lessons. Anyways, if you focus on what everybody else is doing, you're gonna stick to that.
And it's also it's anticipation. Anticipation cripples people. Don't think it's like, and it's anticipation which causes anxiety because you're thinking of the future. Just deal with what's ever in front of you. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to deal with what's in front of you right now. You know what I mean? If you anticipate or you're sitting around like anticipating or thinking about what's going to happen in the future, that's where you get really crippled, and that's where, you know, people get really nervous or get really anxious.
Yeah, it's like,
but you just deal with it when it's there. Just trust your training. Know that with me, I train so hard and I'm so dedicated and disciplined with every part of my life, not just in the gym, you know, with my nutrition and just everything that I do. I'm so disciplined. And I think it's obviously from my bodybuilding background with this fucking freaks, you know what I mean? I'm so disciplined like that. when I go into that ring, I know that, there's not been no shortcuts. I've done absolutely everything I can. So I'm so confident when I go in there that I'm my best that I can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like if you worry about it, it's kind of like worrying about getting in a car wreck every time you go to drive. Like, why are you thinking about that? It hasn't happened. Switching gears a little bit, because I know that you're huge on, well, not, I'll say this, it's my perspective, but you're very big on building women's boxing, building women up, which I think is really cool. You were nothing but encouraging to Whitney when I met you in London, which was like the first thing that I was like, man, that's really awesome, because a lot of women are not very encouraging of each other.
Yeah.
Where is the, you women are the worst as far as like comes when it's like, I always say women are way meaner than men. Guys like grow up like,
competitive.
If we don't like each other, we might fight each other and then it's over. Women will like be your friend for years and then stab you in the back. It's like, that would fuck me up in the head.
Men will steal your stuff. Women will steal your soul.
Yeah. But where do you draw the line of, because as a fighter, this is kind of a cool question for me to ask, or at least to me, as a fighter, you want to build up women, you do this stuff, but then there's the other side of the business where it's shit talking and this and that. Like where is the line drawn of like not ripping your opponent down too much? Because at the end, you're trying to build women's boxing, get people to watch. Does that make sense? Did I word that right?
I mean, you just have to look at my last fight, really, and my last build up for my last fight. It's I don't rip people down. I just throw their own words back in their face. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not a horrible person. I don't believe in tearing other people down to make yourself look better. I don't need to do that. I'm already a fucking shining bright star. You know what I mean? And no one can dim my light, no matter what they say. And I just think the more light you spread, the more light you get. So I'm not fussed, you know, and I don't need to be there and be a hard cunt. I don't need to try and intimidate my opponent because, in a way, I think my way I am, I believe it's actually worse almost because they see me being so lovely and so smiley and so bright and happy and supportive of everyone that when I get through those ropes, they don't realize that when I get through those ropes, I switch like a fucking demon, and they're not expecting of that. You know, they're in shock because they actually can't imagine me being such a fucking savage and so strong, you know, so it kind of shocks them because they're like, oh, she's just a fucking bimbo. She's just sweet, you know, she's really nice. And I get in there and I just want to, you know, kill him. And I think like my friend's mum said to me, she was like, Ebony, you know, she watched my last fight and she was like, you know, I look at you and you're like an angel, like a little cherub. I could never ever imagine you to like, you're like these little angels that go on a Christmas tree, you know, like I could never ever imagine you to be, like I just can't imagine you to be that savage. I can't, like I can't, it's so shocking. And I'm like, I feel like that's a lot of people are like that, you know, like, because I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, yeah, hey, like nice to, you know, I'm happy and stuff. It's like a bit of a smiling assassin in a way, you know. So yeah, I don't need to intimidate people by trying to be a hard cunt fucking Mike Tyson. I've got nothing to prove. That's not who I am. You know what I mean? Because I know when I go through those hoops and you get hit by this fucking fist, you're going to crumble. I just know it, you know? So I know the attributes that I have. But everyone's different, you know? Everyone has their own thing. Girls that shit talk and that. Like, you got to build a fight. You know, like my last opponent just talking shit, but that was out of her insecurity. She was so insecure because she's been boxing for 13 years and no one knew who the fuck she was. You know what I mean? And so she just wanted to like drag me down. People that, if it's not just to sell a fight, because a lot of times it is just to sell a fight. That's boxing, MMA, everyone does it. But sometimes when it is a bit personal, it's more because of the insecurities by someone. Do you know what I mean? But I never put her down. You know, for example, I just said that, you know, she's great. She's a great boxer. I respect her a lot because she's been around for a long time, you know, but I'm going to fucking beat her. Like, and how was that for, and I owned the whole skanky stripper thing. I'm like, you want to call me a skanky stripper? No worries. Like, if you literally think that I'm just an Instagram boxer and a skanky stripper, when you get beat, imagine how shit you're going to look. How shit you're going to look. Like, if you bring up your opponent, make them look fucking good, tell everyone they're amazing, and then you beat them, like, fuck, you just beat a fucking great boxer. Yeah. And she, like, do you know what I mean? If she beat me, it'd be like, well, you said she was shit anyway, so, like, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
that's why I don't.
Just a nobody.
I do the same thing. It's like, it never made sense to me to rip your opponent apart, and then if you lose or whatever.
I mean,
even if you win,
it's just, yeah, I mean, look, it's just a long, what's the word? It's like an age-old thing in boxing to do that. And like, people love watching Mike Tyson, and now he wants to eat your babies and fucking all this stuff. People just, you know, think that's how it should be, and it's not really who they are. And really, like, in the end, sticks and stones break your bones, isn't it? But fucking, you know, the words will never hurt you. So, you know, like, you can say all you want, you can be as emotional as you want. All that's doing is just showing me that you're insecure or you're weak or that you're trying to get something on top of me. And I don't need to do that because I know when I get through those ropes, my fists do the talking. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's my confidence in my abilities, you know. But yeah, everyone's different. They just want to try and get an edge. And some people are very weak, as in you get verbal with them and you do start the shit talk, it consumes them and it does affect them, So if you do want to get an edge and your opponent's weak like that, then sure, you know what I mean? I felt like with my last opponent, me just not twisting her, throwing her words back in her face and like making it like an actual thing that actually made me even more popular. I mean, I felt like that was way better than, trying to put her down or make her feel like shit. I was just like, yeah, cool.
Was that part of what brought on the, because that went like viral, your weigh in and everything. You came out in the lingerie and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because she called you a skanky stripper. Is that why you did it?
Yeah, I did pick that particular outfit because I thought, wow, this is like a really fucking see-through. This is like mad, like sexy, like I'm gonna put my titties in her face kind of thing to really show her who a fucking skanky stripper is. And I thought, and what a perfect time to announce my OnlyFans, because she'd fucking hate that too, because she was just all about putting up pictures on social media, like using my boobs. Like, I didn't even deserve a world title. I only got one because I get naked. Apparently, that's what she said. That's the only reason I'm a world champion, because apparently I get naked, because that's all you need to do is get naked.
You should have asked her a math question. Like, let's do quadratic.
I mean, you don't have to
equations.
It's not like I had to. It's not like I had to beat the longest reigning world champion in my division. I just had to fucking flash my titties. Like, is my nipples hanging out?
At the weigh-in or something, why didn't you ask her a math problem, like a quadratic equation or calculus or?
No, because she's she was so nervous and so emotional at the weigh-ins, and even at the press conference. You seen in my post on my social media, like, she's like, "Oh, you're fucking dead now, bitch." And I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah, I think you laughed, right?
Yeah, I laughed because I thought, you actually have no idea, and that fact that you have no idea, or you really think that I'm actually worried and scared, that's what's going to break you. And then when you seen at the beginning of the fight, when she come touch gloves, she couldn't even look at me. She was shitting herself, and that was in that moment when I saw her looking all like that, and I was looking at her like, you're fucking dead. Like, that's when I knew straight away. I turned back to my corner and I said, oh, she's fucked now. Like, she's fucked. I just knew she was going to be fucked. Like, I knew she would quit. And I knew that, not that she quitted, but I knew she did. She gave up on herself. You know what I mean? I could see it. I could see it withering away.
I told Whitney a bit about that before the Kingpin event, because it did kind of shock me, actually, and I want to get into your opinion on influencer boxing. Mine actually changed being a part of that, but it shocked me when we went to that, what was it called? The media day, the launch party or whatever. They had that big media event, and it shocked me. I was sitting there and I was like, where do some of these people find this confidence? Like, because most of them up there have never fought or barely fight, and the amount of confidence and shit talking they had blew my mind. Because so I had told Whitney before that, not that she's a big shit talker, but I just told her, I'm like, the people that do that have to own up to that, and it actually puts more pressure on yourself sometimes when you're talking so much shit about your opponent.
And they're usually the scaredest person in the room.
Most definitely. I know that that my last opponent, her biggest worry or whatever was like to shit talk and then lose, and that's exactly what happened. But you got to remember, this influencer world, they're all about views, and they're all about entertainment, and it's a bit like WWE. So, I don't know if they're really confident, but it's about selling the fights and about selling themselves, and that's what they've done, and that's why they're famous. So they're not famous because of their boxing skills. They're famous because of the way they talk and the sales and the acting and whatever they do. So that's how I look at that. I think that's all that is, to be honest. They're just trying to sell it.
Yeah, I just told her, I was like,
I don't think it's real. Like, I don't think it's actually real. I mean, they might have a little bit of confidence, especially some of them, like, like that Barbie that fought Whitney. I think she was very confident, and I think a bit of that came out, but I still think that it was still added to that for the entertainment. Like, she's obviously an entertainer. Do you know what I mean? Where Whitney's not really like that. She's famous. She's an influencer because of her fitness and all that kind of stuff, and it's not like she's doing videos and being this crazy character. So it's not really her style. You know what I mean? But all the people that do like funny videos or do like, some kind of this for views, and I think that's where those ones come out. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, totally. They're characters, and they have to like live in that.
Exactly.
They have to be on as an actor.
It's like WWE. I feel like it's like.
Yeah.
They talk so much shit. Like, you watch that and you're like.
I would say my opinion did actually change a little bit, though. With Kingpin, I liked how much it seemed like everybody trained and prepared for it for the most part. There was a few that probably didn't, but they're taking it more serious as opposed to like Jake Paul takes it very serious. I don't like it when fighting is not a game to me. It's been my entire life. I mean, I've been fighting longer than I haven't been fighting at this point, and it's not a game to me, so I don't like seeing people disrespect it. So
course.
it actually made me happy to see like them put in the preparation, and a lot of them show up ready.
I think you're going to see that in no matter what. Even in boxing, there's people that don't prepare, that just jump in as a journeyman. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's their job as a journeyman. They train like here and there, and they jump in for the money. And that's in normal boxing as well, pro boxing as well. And, you'll see that in influencer boxing. You'll see some that take it seriously and some that don't. And that's just how it is, And because you train Whitney, I'm sure she would have been extremely disciplined and serious about it, just like I know Elle Brooke was, and Deji and KSI, they all take it very seriously. But then, of course, there's going to be a handful that don't. But that's... even in boxing and in MMA, same shit, you know what I mean? So it's just that they get judged a lot more because actually they're not originally boxers. So then us as combat sports people, if you have a closed mind, you look at it and you just think, well, fucking, they're not even fighters, like blah, blah, blah. But really, they're just fucking novices that are fighting on a big fucking stage. Like my first 10 fights, you had like maybe 10 people watching. I didn't even want my friends coming to my first 10 fights. Fuck that, fighting in front of 40,000 people.
I know.
Holy shit, no way.
It's nuts.
You know what I mean?
My first ones were at like barns and strip clubs and
exactly.
fucking
biker bars and shit.
Yeah, Holiday Inn ballroom.
These guys and girls are literally getting bashed in front of like all their fans, like, and like putting their whole reputation on the
ballsy,
line. It's ballsy. I think it's ballsy, you know what I mean? But at the same time, in that world, it doesn't really matter if you lose or win because they're still who they are, you know what I mean? It's more just entertainment, so they can risk it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I didn't, like I said, like, I wouldn't want, even as an amateur, I didn't want anyone watching me like if I fucking lost or whatever. Like, granted, I didn't really lose, but it was like, you know what I mean? It's still just, for them to be doing that, I kept my hats off to it, and that's why I've always had respect for it. And, even with Jake Paul, I had respect for it. I've never, and because I am myself, as much as I'm a boxer, I'm also very business savvy, and I also understand marketing and I understand sales, and I understand that. So where a lot of boxers don't, they just think you just got to box, and that's it's not about that. Boxing's a business, and I knew that from when I started.
Yeah.
I've only been boxing for 6 years. Boxing 6 years. I always done martial arts my whole life, but actually boxing 6 years, and only been a pro for a couple of years, and I've already, come up here with some of these girls like, 10, 15 years boxing. Like, all these people, in fucking, I don't know, Ghana, that you don't even know who they are, but they're probably the best boxers in the world, but no one knows who they are.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just part of the business, and you just got to you got to use whatever you can.
Well,
and if you don't, if you don't, you're an idiot. People still give me shit, but not as much as originally when I first came on the scene. I was the first girl to come out like how I am, and now obviously they've all followed, which is great because I believe, why can't we just be feminine? Why can't we embrace our beauty and our femininity? Why do we have to be like men to be respected like men? Like, no, here's my fucking tits, and yes, I like lingerie, so fuck it. I'm not going to go buy Calvin Klein because that's what everyone else wears. Fuck that. Like, this is my shit that I like to wear. Plus being an ex-bodybuilder, ex-figure athlete, I know how to pose, so I just fucking worked it. Like, and I think it opened a lot of doors, and I think it just showed a bit of a different side, and now we're seeing a lot more of it, and I like that. I love that because I hate stereotypes. I fucking hate stereotypes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's good, great. It's just about not being judgmental. You can't judge anyone. Like, from what I've been through in my life, I've learned you can't judge anyone. You don't know anyone's fucking story. You know what I mean? You don't know, like, you wouldn't look at me, and if you knew what I've been through, you would think, holy fuck, no, absolutely no, I don't believe it. You know what I mean? Just like you might see someone think they're great, and you don't realize actually what they've gone through, the trauma that they've been through to be that person, or whatever. So you can't judge, like a person on the street, you don't know why he's on the street. You don't know, what I mean? Like, so don't judge no one, like fucking no one. Like, everyone to me is exactly the same. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if you're fucking someone on the street, you're a waiter, you're Conor McGregor, or you're the president. I'll still say fuck you and cunt this and whatever. I don't care. Like,
can I just say I wish the word cunt was as cool as it was in Australia?
I know.
I wish it was that cool here too.
That was my favorite part in Australia because I fought in Australia.
Yeah. I mean, what the funny thing is? Everyone loves the word, but you still don't want to use it. But whatever. Like,
I feel like in Australia, it's like
you guys get
the third most common word they use. Yeah, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
I mean, in Australia, in Australia, we call our friends cunt and people we don't like mate.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't like you, it's like come on, mate. Like, all right, mate. You know what I mean? But if you're like, fuck yeah, he's a sick cunt. Oh, he's a mad cunt. Love that guy. Like, yeah, he's sick.
I learned that. I learned that like day one in Australia because I was like, "Wait, what'd you call me?" And then I realized that they were like saying nice things. I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty cool."
I think we should change the narrative in the U.S.
I'm just gonna start calling people little bitch all the time.
Cunt means I like you.
That means I like you.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't like a cunt, right?
Right. Hey, you're speaking to the choir. Yeah, I was gonna say though, like the one thing that changed my perspective on the influencer boxing actually was so for me, I've always been a fan of boxing, but it died out a little bit because the best don't fight the best. And it just kind of got stale, whereas like the UFC and stuff, like you're seeing number one fight, the champion and everything. But I think the influencer boxing kind of brought boxing back a little bit. Like it brought more attention back to it. And because a lot of really great fights were falling under the radar because it just seemed to have like lost that shimmer for a second. And I think it's back, which is awesome because I like seeing the like Tank and Ryan Garcia. I like seeing like these big fights, and they hype them up more now because I think that like the attention's back.
They're going to compete a little bit too, but like real boxing needs to compete with influencer boxing, you know. But the reality is influencer boxing is good for boxing because you know what? All those kids and shit that come and watch those influencers, they don't know shit about boxing. They wouldn't know the difference between Jake Paul fighting and freaking, you know, Mayweather, really. They probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a proper like world champion fighter and like, you know, KSI or whatever because they don't know boxing, but they're just watching it for the entertainment.
Yeah, everybody's convinced.
They'll probably like the influencer boxing more because it's more entertaining because there's a lot more fucking head punching. Like it's just there's no defense, so it's more entertaining. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that they are watching it because they're watching the people that they like, as in these you know, YouTubers or whatever. And so then they're watching this and they're like, actually, this is pretty fun, cool. Like, I want to box like KSI. I want to box like Logan Paul or whatever their names are, you know. And they look up to these guys because they're big fans and they think, well, maybe I want to box now. So then what we get is all this influx of kids and people now wanting to box because of these guys. They don't know the difference between, you know, them and pros, but they still want to box and they're still interested in boxing. So it's good. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's bringing more eyes on the sport.
No, definitely. And yeah, I know exactly what you mean too, because I'll read comments and stuff sometimes, and the amount of people that think like KSI could be world champion, I'm like, you're out of your mind. Like, yeah, is it entertaining? Yes. Is he a good boxer? No.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's doing better, he's getting better, but it is honestly like for me, like I'm not threatened at all as a boxer. I know there's a lot of boxers out there that put their nose up and they get threatened, but that's also because they're not getting the money and the attention that these guys get. But they got to remember, is that the only reason these guys are getting the money that they have and the attention they have because they've spent years in their industry building their brand in whatever industry and whatever their job is to now be able to be a big enough name to be able to make this money. You know what I mean? And the reality is they're not fighting for our world titles. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like they're getting bumped up to be, you know, to be number one mandatory for a WBC title. They're not. Like, they're not taking our money. They're taking their money because that's money that they're making from the brand that they built over the 10 years of being a fucking YouTube star. You know what I mean? Like, it's completely different, and people that are jealous of it, like they need to. Jealousy is an envy is an ugly thing to have, and all it does is hold you back because instead of focusing on yourself and what you can do, focusing on whatever they're doing and poor me, you know. And I hate poor me people. Like it's just like fucking yeah.
It's all about it's all about the influencers and stuff getting into it have built a character, like we said before, and people are invested in characters, like we talk about all the time.
Exactly,
we make content for the company, and it's like
they're like characters in a story.
Yeah,
and all our famous, all our favorite, well, not all our favorite, but most of our favorite boxers have some kind of character or story. Do you know what I mean? And the really well-known ones do. Like, look at Fury. You know what I mean? You know, Mayweather, Tyson, Oscar De La Hoya, like, you know, Roy Jones, like all these guys that have characters. You know, but. Like that was like me when I came onto the scene. I built up my brand and my fan base online in Australia during COVID by doing interviews and getting online on Twitter and just showing people Ebanie Bridges. Do you know what I mean? And so I had all these fans fall in love with Ebanie Bridges, and they'd never even seen me fight yet. They knew I'd fought and I'm a pro boxer, and they'd seen my weigh-ins, but they'd never actually seen me fight yet. But they couldn't wait to see me fight because they just love this person that I am, because I was like, yeah, cunts, like fuck yes, like I say whatever I want, I dress however I want. You know, I give everyone my time, I talk to people, and I was out there building my brand, and I'm a character. And women's boxing didn't have that. They had Katie Taylor, like an amazing boxer, but she's not really a character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all these like British boxers, for example, very institutionalized, coming from GB boxing, very, you know, like got to be prim and proper and, you know, too scared to say anything that's not right. And I was like, I didn't give a fuck. I'm Aussie, and yeah, like fuck you know what I mean? Like I didn't care. Here's my tits. Like I really didn't care. And I think people like that realness, and that you know, it's refreshing for them, where people aren't trying to fake and pretend and be like just this media trained rat. So before I even had my fight, you know, I had people begging Eddie Hearn to get me to fight over there. So when I came over to fight in the UK, my first fight, I was more known than all the world champions besides Katie Taylor. You know, not everyone knew who I was. and hadn't even seen me fight yet. And then they all wanted to tune in because they're like, wait, okay, there's this chick with tits that stands on the lingerie. Like, can she actually fight? So I had so many people tune into my first UK fight, which was global, obviously, against Shannon Courtney. That's when I had that eye.
Yeah.
Not only did they see that I can fight like a fucking little crazy Mexican, I have heart because I couldn't see for 3 rounds, but I never gave up. So it was like just showing the world actually women's boxing, because a lot of people wouldn't have watched that, like women's boxing.
Yeah.
People wanted to watch that because they're like, I want to see if this chick with tits with lingerie can fight. I had American boxers, like big names in America. They don't watch women's boxing. I know they don't. You know what I mean? But they all tuned in to watch me. I had people messaging me going, I don't watch women's boxing, but I had to watch, and fucking well done. Do you know what I mean? Like, people didn't watch women's boxing back then. But I definitely think, you know, I was a big surge of that as well. You know, don't get me wrong, Katie Taylor, incredible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just a different look. It's a different look. You know, just like not everyone's into me, not everyone's into her, just like not everyone's into Clarissa. But if we have all these different characters and all these different looks, it's like not so like, it's not so a niche. It's not such a niche. Like, you have to look like that or be like that or have that interest if you want to be a female boxer. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of the formula, I think, to fighting actually is like building the character, be different. And it's a show and entertainment, but the other side of that is winning and performing too. So it's not just like,
no,
you can't just go out there and be an asshole and then get your ass whooped. You won't be a star.
Yeah. It won't last. No. And like you see some, like I've seen some girls, you know, do it, try and do it or whatever, but they don't have the stake, they don't have the presence, you know, or they just put in lingerie. I think, oh, well, Ebanie got famous for putting lingerie on, so I'm going to do it. But it's not that. It's the whole package. It has to come with everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you were getting beat every fight, you wouldn't be a star.
Yeah, exactly. And the advice that I give people is just find out what you're good at, what you have to offer, what you're good at and what you have to offer, and then build on that and build it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, find something, you know, whatever it may be that you can use that is you. Don't try and fake or pretend. You can't pretend because it gets tiring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I had to fucking be like this, or like if this wasn't me, you know, and I had to put in this persona all the time for so many years, like, fuck, imagine how draining that would be. Do you know what I mean?
But
it's just me.
Jim Carrey said depression is really pretending to be someone you're not and wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And when you're not depressed is when you're truly being yourself.
Totally.
And he said he was wearing a mask for all those years in Hollywood. Like for years, he was just on like a bender of being somebody else.
A movie called The Mask.
Yeah.
He did. I mean, maybe that was an allegory, a whole nother story about something. Like when Stephen King wrote Cujo, it was about his cocaine addiction.
Really?
Right?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. Fucking deep, dude. We're deep thinkers over here.
We got to figure out your thing.
Definitely.
So
look at Robin Williams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they say,
You know?
I think comedians have one of the highest suicide rates and
the highest IQs.
I think it's dentists.
I've had a lot of, I think you're right, it is dentists, but comedians have a very high suicide rate. Yeah.
Random.
What would you do if you had to look at gross teeth all day?
I could think of worse things I could look at.
Yeah, there's a few. Where was I going with that? It doesn't matter. So
that I'm brilliant?
Yeah.
Thanks,
yeah,
buddy.
you are brilliant.
You got to
buddy.
figure out Miller's twist for his upcoming fight.
Yeah, so I'm
He's
getting to
boxing.
that actually. Okay, let's do that. So my buddy Chris Miller here is doing his first boxing match. It's
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah. I got to say last names, you know. It's not, doing a charity boxing match coming up in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
First one.
Oh, cool.
Let's give one. Do you want to corner him with me?
Yeah, let's go. That would be dope.
If not,
She's like, absolutely not.
what would your advice be? Not knowing him at all, not knowing anything. First fight, how do you do it? First ring fight.
First,
Yeah,
like,
so this is your very
sanctioned
first
fight.
fight?
Yeah. No. Been in a ton of fights.
It's in a
Trained
ring.
a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Firstly, I need to say, strike hard, strike first, no mercy. All right.
That should be a shirt.
That should.
Wait, isn't that G.I. Joe? Or wait, what is that?
No, that's Cobra Kai. Strike first.
Cobra
strike hard, no
Kai.
mercy.
Damn
Right?
it, it's already
But
a
no,
shirt.
seriously, honestly, like, definitely think
Yeah.
about that because that is genuinely like something. But no, just go in there and have fun, man. Like, whenever you think that you can't punch anymore, keep fucking punching because it's your mind over muscle, man. Like, when your body can go so much further than your mind thinks it can. You know, when you start wanting to quit and like or break, you know, you got to think, fuck. Imagine how they're feeling. They're feeling the same. You know, I think that's one of my strongest things is that when I get tired, that's when I fucking go. That's when I actually get my second win when I'm the most tired because I'm like, fuck this. This is when you got to dig deep.
Yeah.
This is the difference between champions. Is like when you get tired, do you fucking go fuck or do you go fuck this and go up? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm always finished really, really strong. But yeah, I think that's really important. Like your first fights and stuff, it's just about not giving up and keep pushing. You're not going to have, I don't know, your fighting background or skill wise, but you're not going to have mega skill to be like all fancy and flashy, like, do this and that. So the real thing is just go in there and do whatever it takes to win. And that's usually just fucking keep going.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep punching.
I used to have a wrestling.
When you see them get hurt, fucking jump on that shit.
Lay it down.
Like,
Yeah, lay it on.
them. You know what I mean?
I played rugby and football in college, so I have that fucking killer mentality, and I'm still an athlete for 40. I mean, Chris, what's my skill level like, would you say?
Skill level?
Yeah.
His skill level is pretty good, actually. He's been training a long time. We worked together a lot, and you were training before me. No, your skill level is great.
I could punch through a fucking car.
Yeah, I'm not nervous about it.
I would just like...
Someone's going to die.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I go in there and just tell yourself, like, I'm not losing. But, if you lose, it's just, like, I don't know if it's like because it's charity, I don't know if it's a exhibition or whatever, but if there's a win and loss and you lose, who gives a fuck? Go out there and have fun and just know that you gave it all. Last thing you want to do is go, shit, I lost, but I fucking gave up because I felt unfit and I'm a weak cunt. You don't want to be like that. You want to go in there and make sure you keep punching. So if you lose, it's like, well, you know what? I fucking had nothing left. I left it all in there. And then you're like, that was fun.
That's how my mind works too. Is like, I've got too many losses for sure, but never quit, never any of that. I used to have a wrestling coach tell me when I was younger, shout out to Vern Baca. I think he listens to this sometimes, but he always had the coolest stories, like when we were doing like hard wrestling conditioning, like take them down, get up, take them down, like back and forth. And he saw people tired, and he was like, your mind will go further than your body will. Saying what you said. And he was like, if a guy, do you know the story, the 128 hours, they made a movie about it? He's like, there's a guy, if he can cut his arm off with a pocket knife to get out of being trapped in the rock, like, you can finish this fucking workout.
Yeah.
Well,
shit
look,
like
I'm gonna tell you right now, my first professional fight on TV, pay-per-view, Tim Zoo undercard, I snapped my ankle in the first round, first 10 seconds. I got clipped, I went down, I snapped my ankle, got up, and I thought, fuck, my ankle's fucked. And then I thought, well, I don't want to lose on TV, so I just dragged it behind me and kept punching, and I finished the fight. And then I had to go to hospital and had surgery on my ankle, and I was out for 8 months. But I won that fight because I didn't fucking quit. And I couldn't see out of my eye. You know how much it hurt when I was getting punched in the eye? It was like I was getting a knife through my eye. But I didn't quit because it's mind over matter. That pain, you block that pain out because you got a thing. You know what I mean? And I broke my hand in my fight. Do you know what I mean? But I kept punching with it because it's your mind. Your mind controls pain. Your mind controls pain. You know what I mean? And if you want something, you can block it out and you just fucking do it. It's your head. Your head is so powerful. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, honestly, it's so powerful. Like, and I know that because I've done it. Like, I fought with snapped ankle. Like, I got it on my Instagram. You see my whole leg snapped like that. It was my syndesmosis. You know. And I just everyone and the commentators like, wow, she's just so fit. She doesn't stop punching. I'm thinking the only reason I'm not stopping punching because as soon as I stop punching, I can feel my ankle. I went back to my corner. I'm like, I think I broke my ankle. And they're like, what do you want to do?
Shut the fuck up.
No, they weren't. They're like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'm not quitting. Like, fuck that. Like, this is my debut. Like, I'm on TV. Like, I can't quit. You know what I mean? Like, so I went out there and, like, battered her. But, like, I was only battering her because I didn't want to stop punching because if I did, I could feel my ankle. And, with my hand, it was the same thing. I just had to block it out. And same with my eye. I couldn't let it distract me. You can't show any weakness in that ring. As soon as you show weakness, they fucking pounce on it. Because I know if I see just in my opponent's eye a little bit of weakness, they're fucked. Like that last girl that I fought, her hair started messing up. And I thought, oh, she's fucked now. Like, because I thought, oh, that's a weakness. Like, because if my hair came out, it would piss me off. I thought, oh, her hair's fucked. That's it. She's fucked. She's fucked. And she was. And I told myself that, and that gave me energy. And if you see someone's eyes and they look a bit deflated, or they got a little bit, they look like they're hurting their arm, or they look like they're limp, anything, that just gives your opponent, like, in those video games, like fucking life again.
Blood
like,
in the water.
You're feeling tired, you're not fucking tired no more because they're fucked. Like, do you know what I mean? And so I've always been, my amateur coach told me, don't show no weakness and don't show any emotion in that ring, no matter how much it hurts. And that's just what I've been, instilled in me. And I think it's really important.
Every fight I've ever been hurt in, I win because I stop thinking too much about, like, the fight, Yeah. I like start flowing with it more because I'm like, this is fucked up. My jaw's broken, whatever, just go. Yeah. And
exactly.
I remember telling Jacoby that I cornered him when he broke his leg. He came back between rounds and he's like, I think my leg's broken. And I was like, well, we're not going to fix it tonight. So let's go to the hospital with a win rather than a loss. And he was like, I got you.
Boys, I'm just going to say that my phone might die really soon, so I might have to close this up.
I know, this is a good time to...
Hey, so we're going to let you go. Give us one bit. All right, so if you're going to make the mega fight of all time for women's boxing, obviously it's you. Who is it and where?
Oh, me. maybe me and Serrano, Amanda Serrano. I think that would be a mega fight and pretty fun. And I think the UK, you know, UK is pretty big for women's boxing, but if not, I don't know, Vegas would be cool.
Yeah.
I'd say Serrano, but any of them really, like, they're all mega. Like, any of those girls, the top pound for pound, you know, Katie Taylor would be great. I'd have fun with Katie Taylor. I think my style could give Katie Taylor a bit of trouble, although she's bigger than me. You know what I mean? I think, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I know you're in training camp.
Oh, good.
I've heard nothing but great things about you, and I've met you.
Thank you.
John Wayne Parr says hi, by the way. He's a friend of ours.
Oh, yeah, I love John Wayne
He was
Parr.
actually just
Yeah,
in studio. I told him that you were coming on. He was here like 2 weeks ago. So he's like, oh, man,
Oh,
she's a great
amazing.
representative of Australia. Tell her I said what's up, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yes.
Big
I
shout
love
out.
him.
Thank you so much. And tell
thank
people
you.
where they
So
can
nice
find you
to
real
meet
quick. We'll give you a
Yeah, you
little.
can find me on like Instagram, Ebanie, EBANIE _Bridges, or Twitter, Ebanie Bridges. I think TikTok's Ebanie Bridges official, and OnlyFans /Ebanie Bridges.
Got it.
Big time. Knowing that.